Hi, my name's Bill, and today's story is the most special story in history. It's the story of the very first Easter. Now, before I tell you that story, I want you to do a little imagining with me. I want you to pretend that one day you told a really big lie, and the lie was so big that it hurt a lot of people. And when your parents found out about it, they came up with a really big punishment. The punishment was that every day after school, you'd come directly home. You'd have to go to your room. There would be no internet, no computer, no video games, no television, no telephone. You couldn't invite friends over. If you had anything special to do that month, like maybe go to the movies or go to a party with friends, that was canceled. You had to go directly to your room. Now let's pretend your sister found out about this. And your sister went to your parents, and she did nothing wrong. She had nothing to do with the lie. But she went to your parents, and she said, I love my brother so much that I can't see him taking this punishment. I know he had so many fun things he wanted to do this month, so I'll take my brother's punishment for him. Put me in his place. And your parents said, okay, if you take your brother's punishment, we'll punish you and we'll set your brother free. So, your sister, who did nothing wrong, was punished, and you didn't have to worry about the punishment at all. Now that sounds like something that maybe wouldn't happen, huh? Most sisters wouldn't be willing to do that for their brothers. But, somebody did do that for you, and that was Jesus. You see, when we do things that are wrong, God calls that sin, and even the littlest sin deserves a punishment. And you know what God's punishment is? God's punishment is that when we leave this earth, we're separated from Him. There is no heaven. Can you imagine that? Living forever without God or without Jesus. But God loved you so much that He had a plan for that. The plan was His Son Jesus. Jesus would die in your place, and He would take all the punishment from all the people in the world that loved Him and that became His friend, so that we wouldn't have to take that punishment. And so that someday when we leave this earth, we will live with Jesus and with God forever and ever and ever. Now to do that, all we need to do is to become Jesus' friend, to pray and ask Jesus to forgive us for the things we've done that are wrong, and to start living the way we know we're supposed to, and that we would follow Jesus and He would be our leader. And when we leave this earth, if we do that, we will go to heaven forever and ever. And that's what happened on the very first Easter. So right now, let's hear the true story of the very first Easter day. On the very first Palm Sunday, Jesus could see that a lot of people really loved Him. They were praising His name as He was riding through Jerusalem on a donkey. They were saying, Jesus is coming, Hosanna, praises to the King. But Jesus also knew that not everybody did love Him. You see, some people didn't believe that Jesus was really God's Son. And so they hurt Jesus, and Jesus died on a cross. It was a very, very sad day, especially for Jesus' helpers that loved Him and had been following Him for so long. Well, some of His helpers took Jesus off the cross, and they took His body to a cave, a tomb, and they wrapped Him in cloth, and they put Him in the tomb, and they put a big stone in front of the tomb so that nobody could get in. And then they put a guard in front of the tomb too. Well, Jesus was in that tomb all of Friday and all of Saturday. But on the third day, on Sunday, something very special happened. Some women came to the tomb to see where Jesus was buried. And when they got there, they were in for a shocker, because the stone had been rolled away from the tomb. Now the women didn't know where Jesus was. They went in the tomb and Jesus wasn't there. And they became frightened. They thought that somebody stole Jesus' body. But then they saw an angel. And the angel said, "Don't worry. Jesus is not in this tomb. He has risen, just like He said He would. He's no longer dead. He's alive. Go tell all of His friends that Jesus is no longer dead. He is alive." And so that's what the women did. They shared the news that they had heard from the angel, that Jesus was alive. You know, when Jesus died on the cross, he did something very special for us, didn't he? None of us deserve to go to heaven. We've all done things that aren't right. But when Jesus took the punishment for us on that cross a long time ago, he made it possible for you and I to go to heaven. So here's the good news. When we become Jesus' friend, we can live with him forever in heaven. Are you Jesus' friend? Would you like to be? This is what you need to do. First, you need to believe that Jesus loves you very much, and he wants to be your friend too. And then you need to pray and ask him to be your friend. And then what you need to do is follow him. He becomes the boss, and you follow him through all of your life. He'll be with you wherever you go, and he'll take you all the way through to the most special place ever, the kingdom of heaven. Well, it's time for me to go, but I'll be back again with another great Bible story. So until then, bye-bye.